Vaishnavabhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauda Tvise Namaha. So we are here this morning at Sri Chaitanya Saraswamat, West London, the feet of Mahaprabhu, in the company of the Vaishnavas. And today is a special day for us, as I've been reminded. It is the disappearance day of Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, who is a very exalted Vaishnava in our line. He is the giver of Chaitanya Bhagavat. These are the two principal scriptures, texts, and histories of the life and pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There were many things that were written by eyewitnesses or persons who came shortly after Mahaprabhu and heard from the eyewitnesses. So there were many accounts, many descriptions that were written of Mahaprabhu's Leela. But our gurus have highlighted these two, Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and Chaitanya Bhagavat by Vrindavan Das Thakur, as being the two most authoritative texts on the life and pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they are, these two books are important for us, and these two Vaishnavas are most worshipable for us. And we've heard it mentioned, Vrindavan Das Thakur, he is said to be one of the, in Gaura Leela, because all of these Vaishnavas who, in Gaura Leela, they have a particular identity, but they are also, they are eternal associates of the Lord, and they also have an identity in Krishna Leela. And so it is mentioned that Vrindavan Das Thakur, he is one of the 12 principal cowherd boy companions of Nityananda Prabhu. So he is in the mood of Sakya Ras, and he has this very, firm attachment to the lotus feet of Nityananda Prabhu. He's a little biased on the side of Nityananda Prabhu, and that is seen throughout Chaitanya Bhagavat. I haven't personally read Chaitanya Bhagavat completely. Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, he didn't have time to get to a translation of that, and within our own mat, that's never been done. Srila Gurudev did publish a Bengali, edition of Chaitanya Bhagavat as well as Chaitanya Charitamrita, but never Chaitanya Bhagavat in English. So it's one of those texts that we're never quite sure which edition do I read. So we've read parts of it here and there. There is an edition that Janardhan Maharaj has been reading from and recommends. But anyhow, from what we've heard from Gurudev and from what we've seen, in some parts ourselves, it's clear, that Vrindavan Das Thakur's devotion for Nityananda Prabhu is very clear. And I think, like the beginning, it starts out with glorification of Nityananda Prabhu, which is, a little humorous because it's meant to be about Mahaprabhu. But at the same time, and Gurudev commented that you could call it Nityananda Bhagavat instead of Chaitanya Bhagavat, because it's, almost more about Nityananda Prabhu. But at the same time, in that approach, Vrindavan Das Thakur is demonstrating what is the real approach to Mahaprabhu, because without Nityananda Prabhu, there is no Mahaprabhu. You cannot approach Mahaprabhu, without first getting the grace of Nityananda Prabhu. So, and that is also seen in the life of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Krishnadas Kaviraj, he's in the, he is more in the mood of Madhura Ras, and he's appreciating on a deeper level, what is the ontological position of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and, discussing all of these very fine points in a deeper way. But at the same time, he also could not get there, or did not get there, without first getting the specific mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. So that is the approach, and that is shown in many instances. And we've heard from Srila Gurudev, Vrindavan Das Thakur. He was a little like a generation or two after Mahaprabhu. And so he didn't actually meet Mahaprabhu in person, but he did meet Nityananda Prabhu, because Nityananda stayed for some period of time, maybe a few years, after Mahaprabhu had left the world. Then Nityananda stayed for some time and helped keep the stability of everything and continue with the expansion. And so Vrindavan Das Thakur did meet with Nityananda Prabhu. And Gurudev described him as the last disciple of Nityananda Prabhu, the last direct disciple of Nityananda Prabhu. He also, Vrindavan Das Thakur, a few weeks ago, we were in India, and we went to, you remember Denur, that place where he was born? It's next to Bamampara. I'm sure you stopped there before. Usually when devotees would go to Bamampara, Gurudev's birthplace, they would also stop in Denur, which is, not Vrindavan Das Thakur's birthplace, but where he wrote Chaitanya Bhagavat. He was born in Mamgachi, where Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur established Gaudiya Math there. Very beautiful. It's our very last, it's a very happy conclusion to the Navadvip Dham Parikrama. That temple, which is marking the birthplace of Vrindavan Das. It is our very last stop on the 4th day of Parikrama. So he was he was of good stock. Gurudev, he commented how people, they say born devotee, he's a born devotee. He said Vrindavan Das Thakur, he was a born devotee. His mother was Narayani Devi, and she was a great devotee. She was the niece of Srivas Pandit and Srivas Thakur. And so they lived, maybe they lived next door, or maybe they lived in the same house as Srivas Thakur, I'm not sure. But in any case, she was always around in the home of Srivas Thakur. And so that was Mahaprabhu's, Srivas Angam was the focal point of Mahaprabhu's Nadia Leela. When he was in Navadvip, that was the center. That was, his personal favorite place. And that was where he would have these all-night kirtans, which were very exclusive. Not anybody could come, but it was, by invitation only. It was a small, select group who were able to join. So it was a very special meeting place, where Mahaprabhu would express his heart, in a way that he wouldn't when he was in a more public setting. So she was in that, she grew up, in that kind of environment. And she would regularly meet with Mahaprabhu and all of the other great devotees, Advaita Acharya and Nityananda Prabhu and Gadadhar Pandit and Shachi Devi and so on and so forth. And I'm trying to remember, there was a sweet comment Srila Sridhar Maharaj made, how she liked to be with the grown-ups, something like that, the adults. Like sometimes you see little kids, they like to hang out with the grown-ups, and even though they don't understand everything, they like to listen in on their conversations. I can't remember Srila Sridhar Maharaj's exact words, but he made some charming expression like that, how like a little girl liking to like be with the grown-ups, something like that. And then there was a very famous Narayani. I don't think I said her name. Narayani Devi. And so there was one occasion when, and as I recall, there was some fear that had been incited in the devotees because the Qazi had made this pronouncement, or maybe it was a little before that. But there were some complaints coming from neighbors about the kirtan, the loud kirtan the devotees were making. And I think they had made a complaint to the Qazi, or they had threatened to do so, something like that. And so they'd received this order, you cannot make any kirtan at all. And so, or, we will expel you from your houses, or something like that. They were threatened in some way because of their kirtan. And so the group of devotees were feeling fearful, and they told this to Mahaprabhu. And then Mahaprabhu dismissed their fears, and to reassure them, like to show them, do you know who I am? Why are you worrying about this little thing? I'll take care of you. Then he was chewing some pan, and he took it out and he gave it to Narayani Devi, this young girl there. And as soon as she began to chew on that, then she immediately went into this state of deep ecstasy, showing all the 8 symptoms of ecstasy. And so everybody was completely astonished, showing that I'm just giving my pan to this little girl and see what type of effect it will have on her. Don't worry about anything. And so everybody was encouraged by that. So, she was about 5 years old, 5 or 6, something like that. And she got this very special mercy, directly received the prasadam. Mahaprabhu personally gave her his prasadam. That was Narayani Devi as a young girl. And then later, when she grew up, she was married. And our gurus have mentioned that most likely her husband was not a devotee because he's not mentioned anywhere. But she, so she was born in Mayapur. And later moved to Mamgachi, which I think is in the island of, I think it's Moda Druma Dweep, that island. It's the same island where Lord Ramachandra resided for some time. And so later she moved there to Mamgachi, and there she gave birth to Vrindavan Das Thakur. And Srila, we see Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he has established a temple, a Gaudiya Math, and all of the principal places connected with Mahaprabhu's pastimes. So there is a very charming Gaudiya Math there. And then later, Vrindavan Das Thakur, when he was a little older, he came in connection with Nityananda Prabhu, and he, received initiation from Nityananda Prabhu, and he used to travel with Nityananda Prabhu. Sometimes, a sannyasi will have a brahmachari that they travel with, as an assistant. So Vrindavan Das Thakur had that service, and he used to travel with Mahaprabhu and assist him in his travels. And then there was that famous incident. We were discussing all these things. It's so nice to remember. We were there in Denor. We were there in Mamgachi just a few weeks ago. So then he was traveling with Nityananda Prabhu, and then there was an incident that took place. Nityananda Prabhu, he liked to chew this haritaki, this very sour fruit for digestion. Yes. And Nityananda, sometimes they would have it in some households because they were always on the move, and so some places they would, after eating, he liked to chew it. But Nityananda, he wasn't like now in our culture, if we like something, then we'll stock up, have 20 packs of it at hand. But Nityananda was living a very simple and detached life, and so he's moving around with nothing. And if he was staying somewhere, if they happened to have some, then he would take it, and if not, then he wouldn't take. And then on one occasion, Vrindavan Thakur, he thought, well, maybe I should store a little bit, so that when we reach a place where they don't have any, then I can supply some for my Gurudev, my beloved master. So the next time they were in one place where they had some haritaki, then Vrindavan Thakur took some extra that he carried with him. And you're raising your eyebrows. Not that I'm sure he didn't steal it. I'm sure he's like, what? I'm sure he requested, can you give me a little extra to take with me? Stealing some haritaki.
It's probably available.
Yeah. It wasn't like a rare, commodity. So he was carrying this extra haritaki. And then the next place that they came to, they took some prasad there, and they didn't have any haritaki. And so Vrindavan Thakur, he told Nityananda, oh, I've kept some from the last place we were at. Here you are, my lord. Take some. But Nityananda, he was very displeased. And he said, you can, you're behaving like a grihasta. This is how a grihasta, how a family person behaves, keeping so much stock, so much store. And Jai, Shishi Guru Garanga, and we're seeing that very much nowadays. People are hoarding, pasta and toilet paper and beans, and people are keeping stock to last them many years. So Nityananda, he did not approve of this mentality. For a grihasta, it is acceptable to some degree, to a reasonable degree. But a sannyasi is meant to live, fully surrendered to the Lord's will. Whatever is coming, whatever the Lord provides. And they cannot keep anything, any store. And we see in the, generally they're practicing something like madhukari, which refers to sadhus, literally it means like being like a bee, like the way a bumblebee will go from flower to flower and take a little. It's not that it's taking everything from one place, but taking a little from this, a little nectar from this flower, a little nectar from that flower, like that, not depleting the resources. Or like in other cases, there are different ways that they would, live. But in the case of Madhavendra Puri, for example, he wouldn't even do that. Only what somebody like purposely came and gave to him, he would take. And if nobody came and nobody gave him anything, he would fast. Incredible. That is how he would live. So, this is, a sannyasi is supposed to live with this, more detached mode of existence and just depending on the mercy of the Lord and the Vaishnavas. So Nityananda, he was displeased. But on a deeper level, this was part of his Leela, This was, part of the Lord's Leela. because it was time to write Chaitanya Bhagavat. And of course, Vrindavan Das Thakur had no fault. He wasn't acting for himself. He was acting to serve his Gurudev, so he had no fault. But this was, the Leela. And there's also some instruction, of course, there. But, so anyhow, Nityananda Prabhu told Vrindavan Das Thakur, you cannot travel with me anymore. You're not behaving like a brahmachari, you're sannyasi. Then you can stay here. And so that was in Denor, right next to our Gurudev's birthplace. And so Vrindavan Das Thakur, he stayed there till the end of his days, and he composed the Chaitanya Bhagavat there. And so he had some blessing from Nityananda Prabhu to write this. I'm not sure if it was a direct or indirect blessing. And Gurudev also mentioned that Narayani Devi, Vrindavan Das Thakur's mother, she had some desire that he would write something also. And so it was there that he wrote that. Previously, they had the text of Chaitanya Bhagavat on display, so all the pilgrims could see. But now when we went there, everything was locked up. But they have a temple there which they're developing.
You mean the original?
Yeah, the manuscript. Before it was on display, under glass, but everyone coming through could see. But now we went there and we were looking around, and they said now they're keeping it locked up, and just once a year they bring it out on some special occasion. Which we were a little sad, but it seems good to me, for security. But they're developing, and it was very nice. The Vaishnavas who were taking care of that place, very sadhu-like, very devotional and simple mood. So Vrindavan Das Thakur, and he is, so he wrote the Chaitanya Bhagavat there, and he, Gurudev, he's described how Vrindavan Das Thakur, he is more, he is giving more of the Yuga avatar aspect of Mahaprabhu. He is describing more of that. Because there is like a kind of competition that takes place between Vrindavan Das Thakur and Krishnadas Kaviraj, in the sense that, not in a material sense, but in a devotional sense, that they both try to give honor to the other one, and they both try to promote the other one as being a more authoritative presenter of Chaitanya Leela. And so, of course, Vrindavan Das Thakur, he didn't, because he was a little bit before Kaviraj Goswami, then Vrindavan Das Thakur didn't know about Kaviraj Goswami. They didn't meet, and he never read Chaitanya Charitamrita. The Chaitanya Bhagavat came first. However, there's a few places, it's multiple times in Chaitanya Bhagavat when Vrindavan Das Thakur is anticipating that another, great, writing will come, which is more authoritative than his own. And so there's a few times in Chaitanya Bhagavat when he says, I am not the Vyas of Chaitanya Leela. In Vyas, when we say Vyas, we're normally thinking of Krishna Dvaipayan Veda Vyas. But Vyas is actually a title, it's a post. And it means, who is the distributor, the giver of some particular type of knowledge. So Veda Vyas, Krishna Dvaipayan Veda Vyas, he was the distributor of the knowledge of the Vedas. And so then, we can conceive that there is a Vyas, as Vyas, Veda Vyas, Krishna Dvaipayan Veda Vyas was the Vyas of Krishna Lila. He gave Srimad Bhagavatam, establishing the supremacy and the paramount glory of Lord Shri Krishna. So there may also be a Vyas of Chaitanya Lila, giver of Chaitanya Lila. I'm just remembering we were trying to talk about this in Mamgachi, but there's so many loudspeakers and different, pilgrims coming through, and we had to abandon the talk. So we can conceive that there will be a Vyas of Chaitanya Lila. And so Vrindavan Thakur, as he's writing Chaitanya Bhagavat, he doesn't want anybody to think that he has that position, that he has that post of the Vyas, and he's not feeling that he's qualified for that. And so multiple times in Chaitanya Bhagavat, he says, I am not the Vyas of Chaitanya Lila. The real Vyas will come in the future. So he's like anticipating the Chaitanya Charitamrita coming from Kaviraj Goswami. So multiple times he says that Vyasa day will come. I am not the Vyas. And then on the other hand, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he's writing after Chaitanya Bhagavat. And so he, in a very beautiful, very exemplary Vaishnav way, it's really like something that we can think about and apply in our own lives. This is something I always, consider, that Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's not just, like a history of something that happened 500 years ago. It's much, much more than that. But one of the things that it is like a practical handbook of practicing Vaishnavism here and now. There's so many points in there that have been on a very practical level, been so helpful to me. So anyhow, one of these examples is how, just how much Krishnadas Kaviraj is deferring to Vrindavandas Thakur. Does not want to cross over the honor of Vrindavandas Thakur. So he's always giving credit, repeatedly, from beginning to end, so many times. He's giving credit to Vrindavandas Thakur. Sometimes just mentioning it, and sometimes in a more elaborate way. It's just really deeply touches your heart to see that type of, Vaishnav appreciation for another Vaishnav. So he always says, I'm just, Vrindavandas Thakur, he is the Vyas of Chaitanya Lila. As Vrindavandas is saying, I'm not the Vyas. Vyas will come in the future, indicating Kaviraj Goswami. Then Kaviraj Goswami is deflecting it back. And I am not the Vyas, Vrindavandas Thakur, he's the Vyas of Chaitanya Lila. And what am I doing? I'm just chewing on his remnants. That's what he says. Multiple times he says, I'm just chewing on the remnants of Vrindavandas Thakur. And he says in one place something like, Vrindavandas Thakur was so enthusiastic to glorify Nityananda Prabhu. He didn't want to, he didn't want to make his book too voluminous, too big. And so he left out some parts of Mahaprabhu's Leela, Because mostly Chaitanya Bhagavat is covering the early pastimes of Mahaprabhu's Leela. It more or less concludes when Mahaprabhu takes sannyas. Mostly it is describing Mahaprabhu's early Leela, his Nadia Leela. And then there's some description after that, after sannyas, but not so much. So Kaviraj Goswami is like picking up the thread. And as he says many times, he's only giving detail to those things which Vrindavan Thakur did not have time or space to give so much detail about. So like, just expanding on a few points that Vrindavan Das did not because of concerns of making his book too big, like that. So in this very humble way, Kaviraj Goswami is approaching this. There's one expression of Kaviraj Goswami where he says, "You fools, just read Chaitanya Bhagavat." Kaviraj Goswami is saying, like, you Muda log, you like asses, like just read Chaitanya Bhagavat. What are you doing? There's nothing else to do, So like in a very heartfelt way, he praises Vrindavan Thakur and is giving, all, deferring everything to him. And then Srila Gurudev, he wrote a really, really nice poem, and that poem does not get as much exposure as it should. It is, like to harmonize these two angles. Kaviraj Goswami is saying Vrindavan Thakur is the Vyas of... sorry, just to backtrack, I didn't say, I wanted to say, just a small point, that so in those cases where Vrindavan Thakur has not described something in detail, then Kaviraj Goswami is filling in the detail. But then in other cases, where, especially regarding the earlier Leela of Mahaprabhu, if Vrindavan Das has already discussed something at length, then Kaviraj Goswami just indicates the pastime in Chaitanya Charitamrita and says, I'm just giving a short synopsis of this because Vrindavan Das has already elaborately discussed it. So it's like just so beautiful to see, how he's written that, like, in sync, like, so they're like companion texts, like that. Really very instructive, very beautiful to see. So anyhow, fast forwarding again, Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj, our Gurudev, he considered both of these points, Vrindavan Thakur saying, I'm not Vyas, Vyasadeva will come, and Kaviraj Goswami saying, I'm not the Vyas, Vrindavan Thakur is the Vyas. So Gurudev, with his wonderful vision and capacity, he harmonized both of these points, and he wrote a very beautiful poem, which is harmonizing these things. And that poem he wrote when they published Chaitanya Bhagavat, and it's published as part of the introduction to the Bengali edition of Chaitanya Bhagavat. Dasa Vrindavan. This is the verse that I'm normally chanting when we begin Chaitanya Charitamrita, because it's so perfect, and it's glorifying Kaviraj Goswami as well as Vrindavan Thakur. Dasa Vrindavanam Vande Krishna Dasa Parum Tata. That I'm offering my respects, first to Vrindavan Thakur, because he is the original giver of Chaitanya Leela, and then also to Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami. Dasa Vrindavanam Vande Krishna Dasa Parum Tata. Chanavatar Chaitanya Leela Vishtar Karino. That they have both given the pastimes of the Chana avatar. Now this is a significant point here. Chana avatar means the hidden avatar. This expression is used perhaps in other places, but there's a famous verse of Prahlad Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam where he says that sometimes you are known, he's glorifying the Lord Narayan, I suppose. And he says, there's one verse where he says, sometimes you are known as Tri Yuga. And this is one way in which persons, denounce Mahaprabhu, or dismiss the possibility of Mahaprabhu being an avatar. What to speak of avatari. The Lord is known as Tri Yuga, means he only appears in 3 of the yugas. He appears in Satya, Treta, and Dwapar. He doesn't appear in Kali Yuga. So, but this verse of Prahlad Maharsh, it is the answer to that argument, where he says in this prayer, sometimes you are known as Tri Yuga because in Kali Yuga you appear in a hidden way. And he uses this word chana also there, that in a hidden way you appear in Kali Yuga, and that is why you're sometimes known as Tri Yuga. Because in Kali Yuga he's appearing in the mood of a devotee. So it is different from other avatars. So Mahaprabhu is known as the hidden avatar. And so then Chanavatar, Leela, Vishtarakar, Dasa Vrindavanam Vande, Krishna Dasa Vrum Tata, Chanavatar, Chaitanya Leela, Vishtarakar, So the point here, and as Gurudev has explained, is that the Lord, he has, the Lord also has in his manifestation as Mahaprabhu, there's 2 aspects to his Leela. As we're told at the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are the internal, as it's put, the internal reasons and the external reasons for Mahaprabhu's appearance. So the internal reason is to taste that, Radha Bhava Jyoti Sivolitam, Naomi Krishna Sadupam, to taste that mood of Radharani, and so he's appearing with the bhav and kanti, with the heart and halo of Srimati Radharani. So that's his primary reason for descending, as that, Swayam Bhagavan form, that original form of the Lord. He's coming only for that purpose. But then there's the other aspects, the Yuga Avatar aspect, which has the other purpose, like the aspect of public duty, coming to spread Harinam Sankirtan and to, save all souls. So there are these 2 aspects to Mahaprabhu's Leela. And so Gurudev is pointing out that because there are there's the public pastimes and the private pastimes, the internal aspect and the outer aspect, then Mahaprabhu may have 2 Vyasas. One who is covering that Yuga Avatar aspect, that more public duty aspect, and the other who is exploring more that internal, hidden aspect of the Lord, coming to taste the mood of Srimati Radharani. And so therefore we can understand that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he is revealing that hidden Leela. But what Kaviraj Goswami has given in Chaitanya Charitamrita, nobody else has given. We talk about being privileged. Kaviraj Goswami was privileged, in the deepest sense, because he had the personal association of Raghunath Das Goswami, who had the personal association of Mahaprabhu and Sarup Damodar. So through that, chain, through that line of revelation, Kaviraj Goswami had more than senior persons, than persons who'd had direct association with Mahaprabhu. So what was known to Kaviraj Goswami, you could probably count on 1 hand or 2 hands, who else knew that? What he's revealing there. That who is Mahaprabhu but this combined form of Shri Radha Krishna. That was not known. Nobody knew that. Sarup Damodar knew that. And then Raghunath, because he was so closely connected with Sri Damodar. And then, a couple of others, one or two others. So Kaviraj Goswami, he was particularly requested by Vaishnavas who were senior to him to write Chaitanya Charitamrita, because they could understand, he knows something more. He knows more than us. So he was in a privileged position, Kaviraj Goswami, and then he shared that. He didn't keep it to himself. He didn't keep his privilege to himself. He shared it with everyone. So only Kaviraj Goswami has given that revelation. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Ladini Shaktir Asma. This verse, and then what's the other one? Shiradhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrisho Vana Eva Swadvo Yanadbhuta Madhurima Kidrisho Vamadiya Shokyam Chashamad Anubhavata Kidrisham Vetilo Bhat Tadbhavadya Samajani Shachi Garba Sindho Hadindu. Describing these three desires that Krishna had, to taste that sweetness within himself, to experience the joy that Radharani feels in her service to him, and to experience that position of being, the dedicating, the predominated moiety rather than the predominating moiety. So, this was given by Kaviraj Goswami. This was revealed exclusively by Kaviraj Goswami. So then Vrindavan Thakur, he was revealing the Yuga Avatar aspect more. And he's in the mood of Sakya Ras. And so he's giving more description to Mahaprabhu in the mode of spreading the Sankirtan movement for the benefit of all souls. So in this way, they are both the Vyas of Chaitanya Leela, covering different aspects of Chaitanya Leela. And then Dvo Nityananda Parabja Karunarena Bhushito. This is so beautiful, this line, that they are both decorated with the merciful foot dust of Nityananda Prabhu. This is Gurudev's expression. They are both decorated with the merciful foot dust of Nityananda, because they both got the specific mercy of Nityananda before they came to write their respective accounts of Chaitanya Leela. And then, I jumped ahead actually. Vyakta chano burachincho Vavande Vyasadupino. That there are the Vyakta. This is how Gurudev phrases it. Vyakta means like revealed pastimes. So there are the revealed pastimes and the chana, the hidden pastimes. So Gurudev is saying, I'm paying my dandavat to both Kaviraj, to both Vrindavan Das and Kaviraj Goswami. They're both the givers of Chaitanya Leela. One of them has described the Vyakta, the revealed, the public, the manifest pastimes, and the other has revealed the hidden pastimes, the internal aspect of Mahaprabhu. So Vyakta chano Buddhachincho, that Buddha means what is conceivable, what is intelligible, and Achincha, what is inconceivable. So one of them has described what is conceivable, and the other has described what is inconceivable. Like that. Buddhachincho, Vyaktachano, Buddhachincho, Vavande, Vyasadupina. So I'm giving my respects to both of these forms of Vyasadeva. Vyaktachano, Buddhachincho, Vavande, Vyasadupino. I've gotten lost. Dasa Vrindavanam Vande, Krishna Dasa Brumtata, Chanavatar Chaitanya Leela, Vistar Karino, Do Nityananda Padabja, Kadunadena Bhushito, Vyaktachano, Buddhachincho, Vavande, Vyasadupino. And then Shri Guru Gaur Gandharva, Govindas Cha Ganaisaha. Jayanti Patakaschacha Sarvesham Kurunarcha, and then giving glorification to the Guru and to her deities, Gandharva, Govinda, Sundar, and the Mat, and praying for their mercy. So this is Gurudev's, original and really extraordinarily beautiful composition, which is, perfectly glorifying both Srila Vrindavana's Thakur and Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami. So, yeah, there's, we can stop there, I think. There's, always so much that can be said to glorify our divine masters. But we have to stop somewhere, so. Jai Shri Vrindavana's Thakur ki Jai, Tadiya Shubha Tira Bhav Mahamahotsava Titi ki Jai, Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Deva Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Does somebody want to chant? Whose turn is it? Saraswati Didi, please.
Hariharaya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namah.
Hariharaya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namaha.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Kesavaya Namah.
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Gopala Govinda Ram Shri Madhusurana.
Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusunana.
Girirari Gopinata Madana Mohana.
Girin Hari Gopinata Madana Mohana.
Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra.
Radhara Srivasani Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Rupa Sanatana Vatara Gunatha. Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha. Hechai Gosai Kodi Charana Vandana. Jaha Hoite Vignana Shabishta Purana. Hechai Gosai Jar Muitana Dasa. Tansabada Pada Lenu Mura Panchagrasa. Kadira Charana Sebi Bhakta Sanibasa. Jana me moho he abhinasha. Echai Gosai Jabe Braje Koilo Masa. Shri Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Kodila Prakasha. Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavana. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majaya Mana. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Kodiyasha. Nama Sankirtana Kohe Narottama Nasa. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.